Hey gang, what's up? Aaron here, Canadian Looney. Let's get right into this. Canadian federal politics, right? They're off again for another week. It's really hard to believe. Like, they get so much time off. That's a partisan issue, or that's a non-partisan issue. They get way too much time off. Anyhow, we've got some great videos to jump into. Let's kick this off.
Smoke here, Mr. Chair, and I'm sure there is a fire that's burning, Mr. Chair, that we need to find out its source. As I indicated, this is not a one-off. It is a series of missteps by this government. I talked about the Aga Khan vacation.
I should have taken precautions and cleared my family vacation and dealings with in advance. I'm sorry I didn't. And in the future, I will be clearing all my family vacations with the Commissioner's office.
We then had the dress-up clown show in India. We then had the issue surrounding the very first Truth and Reconciliation Day. Again, one of the hallmarks of the Trudeau brand and our Prime Minister in the 2015 election was his pronouncement that there was no other relationship that was more important to Canada than his relationship with Indigenous Canadians.
No relationship has been more important to me than the one with Indigenous peoples.
He created the very first Truth and Reconciliation Day after the discovery of the unmarked graves in Kamloops. This was an important milestone in the history of this country in an effort to broker reconciliation between non-Indigenous and Indigenous alike. What did the Prime Minister do? The Prime Minister instructed his office to lie to Canadians to say that he was in Canada engaging in private meetings, when in fact, some sleuths in the Canadian public were able to track his flight and realize he wasn't in Ottawa. He was en route to BC to take a surfing vacation.
The Prime Minister is spending the first National Truth and Reconciliation Day on the West Coast. Trudeau's itinerary showed he would be in private meetings in Ottawa today. However, his office confirmed he is in Tofino, spending time with family for a few days.
It was embarrassing, and it was shameful, and it was an event that should not have happened. This Jamaican Christmas vacation is not a one-off. It displays a pattern of miscommunication and deceit by the Prime Minister's office, giving three different versions of the truth as to what they communicated to the Conflict of Interest and Ethics Commissioner. And we as parliamentarians, but more importantly, Canadians from coast to coast to coast, need some daylight shed on this issue. With respect, Minister, I know you started off by trying to brief us on your legal knowledge and trying to give us some legal parameters. But with respect, we don't want to hear about your legal opinion. We want to hear about your political responsibility as Minister on this extremely important portfolio. Understood?
Listen, sir, I do my job and I have a legal background, and I'm very proud of that, and I want to excuse myself to say for the record that I happen to understand these
I'm a lawyer.
things perhaps better than others.
You understood the question.
I'm a lawyer and I used to be
Sir, I got limited time.
Sir.
I will move on.
Sir.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. You've heard the concept of ministerial responsibility, right?
I'm very familiar. I've been Minister of the Crown.
Yeah, the buck stops with you.
I totally,
You
but
keep,
I would
you
tell
keep
you.
talking. No, sir, this is my time to talk. I haven't asked you a question. Okay? You talk about, well, you know, that's not my responsibility, and they're going to be doing this review, or they're going to be making those changes, etc. But ultimately, they report to you, sir. The buck stops with you. And I know that there is a pattern in this Liberal government of ministers not accepting responsibility. I hope you're going to buck that trend and actually show real leadership and actually accept responsibility for this matter, because this matter has essentially been a year old. These whistleblowers come to the Auditor General and complain, not just one whistleblower, up to 20 whistleblowers, consisting of employees, consisting of senior executives. And I know that the SDTC likes to classify them as just troublemakers, but they're not. They received advice to prepare a 300-page informational package and send that off to the Privy Council office. That was done in February. Now, I understand through your evidence, sir, that you received notice that your department received that report in March, correct?
Did you say that you do not have possession of a 300-page whistleblower dossier? Did I hear you right?
The department does. I don't.
Have you read it?
No, I don't have possession of it. The department has.
You haven't. You mean to say that you take this very seriously, but you're willing to take whatever action is necessary. You've repeatedly said you're a lawyer, and you haven't taken the time to review the contents of the 300-page.
Well, I'll tell you very simply. You're a lawyer as well. I'm not the fact finder. I'm the minister.
That you did not receive, that you did not review that report yourself?
Mr. Chair, can I answer the question that was like 30 seconds? Because, you know, there was a lot in this, by the way. The buck stopped with me as minister, but I would advise you, you might not be a lawyer, but to read the law that says what are the rights and obligations of the minister under the law, and I would advise you to read the terms and conditions of the contribution agreement.
Well, believe me, sir, I have.
Because as an arm's-length organization, sir, the minister by law is not allowed to manage human resources. That's how the act was created.
I'm not talking about human resources.
That's how the act was created,
I'm not talking about human resources. I'm talking about the misuse.
Larry's so angry. Like, this little guy would be he'd bring the worst out of you, because like he loves to stoke the fire. I'm a lawyer. I don't know if you're a lawyer. He says that to Larry Brock.
Of taxpayer money to the tune of $150 million.
Provide me the evidence of that, sir.
You want evidence? Take a look. Take a look at the three.
The evidence, because
sir,
the only evidence that exists
one at a time.
Is the Raymond Chabot.
You want evidence, sir?
If you have evidence, provide it to me,
Brock,
sir.
Minister, just hang on a sec, okay? Let's get one person talking at a time.
You want
here.
evidence?
I understand it's emotional. Mr. Brock, you have the floor. You have the floor. Go ahead.
I suggest if you want evidence, you actually show some responsibility and read that 300-page report, which listed all of the improper payments that went to companies that did not adhere to the contribution agreement number 9 that you keep referring to, that forms the basis of your legal obligations. I encourage you to do that, sir. Or did you, in fact, just receive a briefing from someone in your department about that 300-page report?
With respect, Chair, how can you say that they don't respect the contract? Have you done the forensic audit? I mean, there's people who have done forensic audit. I'm not sure you have done that, but Raymond Chabot did a forensic audit, sir. And that's not the conclusion they reached. That's what I'm saying. You have to work on the basis of evidence and have due process and procedural fairness, sir, because if you're going to say things like that, sir, I'll tell you something. If you're going to say things like that, you have to make sure that what you say is backed by evidence.
Thank you for that advice. Have you ever contemplated why the Auditor General is actually involved?
Yes, because we've been working with them.
Because they feel that you didn't do your job.
That's not at all. Ask them.
All right?
Ask them,
That's
sir.
exactly what
Ask
they're
them,
saying.
because we work with them and
Sir,
we welcome their investigation, sir.
People need to be held accountable. People need to be fired. You've done absolutely nothing, despite claiming you're taking this so seriously. You've got your ADM in your own department claiming that you were going to freak out, that changes had to be made, that the board had to be replaced. You did absolutely nothing, sir, between March and October. Did you actually have meetings with your ADM to talk about this issue in that time frame?
Mr. Chair, I would say I work on the basis.
Normally, you'd be intimidated by a guy speaking to you that way, not this little lapdog.
What the members
Sir, did you have
about
conversations with your ADM?
And I would advise you
Brock,
should take legal advice before you make these allegations, sir,
you,
because
Minister.
the only evidence that exists is in the Raymond Chabot report.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, next. Oh,
It's not a word used often, but the chiefs of 4 BC First Nations are telling Conservative MP Aaron Gunn to chillax after targeting land acknowledgements.
Let me know in the comments what you think of BC MP Aaron Gunn. I think he's a great MP, but like he's well spoken, looks good, has the right ideas. Here's one of the pieces from his channel.
Spoken before federal gatherings.
I really feel that he should be stepping down in his position. It's just not proper for the way he treats people.
Should be more educated as to the history of this country.
In a post on social media, North Island Powell River MP Aaron.
Sorry, this isn't from his channel. This is about Aaron Gunn. His channel is worth checking out, though. It's amazing. He makes documentaries on there, like real legit documentaries.
Aaron Gunn says if the federal government is serious about private land title, they should stop opening every public meeting by proclaiming the gathering on the unceded territory of this or that First Nation. Gunn's response comes in the wake of a rights acknowledgement between Ottawa and the Musqueam First Nation that was signed last month, as well as the Cowichan land title decision.
When the federal government proclaims land to be unceded, they are undermining their own legal defense of private property rights and instead furthering this other activist legal concept that we all live on stolen land in British Columbia, that we're all settlers or uninvited guests. And I think we have to get back to this is Canada for all Canadians.
A joint statement from the Humalco, Klahoos, Tla'amin, and Comox First Nations directed at Gunn says land acknowledgements have never seized private property, canceled a mortgage, repossessed a pickup truck, or altered a single title deed anywhere in Canada. While Gunn says his post was meant to target the federal government, it's worth noting that here in BC, a handful of BC municipalities have chosen not to have land acknowledgements at the start of council meetings. In Richmond, for example, a committee chair has the option to start meetings with a land acknowledgement. Councillor Cash Heed believes the issue is with the word unceded.
And I've been at meetings where they've used the traditional lands. And, I think that's an appropriate term that can be used because we are, in fact, on the traditional lands. The unceded one brings in a different element. It brings in the element of fear that we're going to lose it.
The chiefs hope that by responding to Gunn's post with humor, it might soften public attitudes.
And land acknowledgements are such a small gesture that just pays respects to the land and the people that were there, and opportunities for, doesn't increase the opportunities for title claims.
But more than that, they hope their response keeps the broader conversation about reconciliation moving in a more constructive direction.
She is a newcomer to Canada, but openly hates white people.
Big fan of Rebel News over here. This is a quick report we're going to take a peek at from there. They crack me up. They're probably my favorite of all the independent channels.
In our country, you have to watch this.
What is holiday about it? Fuck you, fuck you like white people, fuck you like Westerners and West.
Okay, I said white supremacist people, pieces of shit.
Halloween is supremacist white people.
It's a white supremacist fucking bullshit.
And getting to the Halloween shit and fuck white people, yeah, fuck white people. Fuck white people. 1,000,000 times.
Free Palestine, fuck Israel, fuck Canada, fuck Quebec, and fuck the French language, fuck the English language, fuck all the West, fuck the white supremacy, fuck the patriarchy.
I did not say that. She's lying, and I want to say free Palestine, if this is what you want to hear.
We have the video of you.
I did not say that. No, you said that.
White people.
But yeah, fuck white supremacist people.
You're here to disrupt. You initiate your own action. You initiate your own disruption.
You're all racist, and fuck you all, okay? That's my answer. That's my answer.
And now you are spitting on the people who live here.
Yes, your fucking country is killing my people. Do you know that or not?
But why are you not standing with me?
Answer my fucking question!
Alexa Lavoie for Rebel News.
Again, just to boost Rebel News, check out their channels, subscribe, throw them a subscription, join their stuff. they do amazing work. Like, they're more daring than pretty much anybody out there. A bunch of brave journalists.
And today,
and they're funny.
Revisiting a story that made headlines around the world. That of a Palestinian refugee who went viral after spitting in the face of Canadians and their culture while filming Halloween decorations.
Like, is this fucking okay? What's the fun about it? Like, what is the fun about it? What is civilized about it? What is holiday about it? Fuck y'all. Fuck you like white people. Fuck you like Westerners and West. Like, I don't know what to say. Like, fuck everyone.
Last Saturday, March 7th, I crossed paths with this woman, Samar Al-Dur, as I was heading to a demonstration organized by Iranians in Montreal. As you might expect, since this woman openly supports what she calls the resistance in Gaza, in other words, Hamas.
Hamas is a terrorist group.
No. It's a resistance.
No, Hamas.
It's a resistance.
I'm sorry.
She was leaving the area rather than taking part in the demonstration. I questioned her about the comments she made towards Canada, as well as the remarks she made about white people.
I just want to ask you a question. You actually spit on Halloween decoration,
Like,
and you say "F white people." Can you actually explain what you mean by that?
I don't want to talk to you.
Why do you say "F white people"?
That's none of your business.
You just arrived
You're
here.
harassing me.
Why did you came in Canada if you hate the white people?
I don't want to talk to you.
Can you explain a little bit why did you?
Off. I'm gonna call the cops on you.
You say "F white people."
Fuck you as well.
She's already asked you to leave her alone. Why don't you walk?
I want to know why she actually spit on Halloween decoration and say
Who's the shepherd her?
because it was international.
Mind your own business. Go cover that Zionist protest. That's your business. Piece of shit.
This is not the first time we have.
All right, so we're gonna skip to the next piece, but check out Rebel News. They do a great job. They're a bunch of daring journalists in a time when it's probably not so safe to be a journalist.
Speaker, we will take no lessons from these
Look at
conservatives,
this little rat.
Mr. Speaker. Canadians have heard the leader of the opposition when he advocate for crypto to Canadians. When it comes to groceries, Canadians are saying thanks, but no thanks, leader of the opposition. We know what we're doing, Mr. Speaker, and yesterday was the first steps. We call on the big grocers to be part of the solution. We express the frustration of millions of Canadians. We ask them to come with concrete plans to stabilize prices. On this side of the House and this caucus, we'll fight for Canadians, Mr. Speaker.
We're going to kick things off here on Joe Rogan. They're discussing like the life expectancy in Canada. Let's check this out. It should be
Canada's
pretty
overall life
interesting.
expectancy.
Yes.
That might be the craziest statistic in the world right now. You've seen this, right?
Yes.
Since 1930, of course, it goes this way, this way, this way, this way, because you fucking live longer, because fuck technology and medicine. Right. And then 2020 it levels, and then it starts to go down. It's down 2.5 years since 2020, which is unheard of.
Yeah.
Unprecedented. What could that possibly be from?
I don't know, Tony.
Weird.
So strange. It's not like there was a gigantic medical intervention that was forced upon the population during that time period.
Again and again, and booster and booster and booster.
And you're not allowed to say it, or you're a conspiracy theorist.
I guess
These people they're in a fuck trance because being on the side of reality and facts is so against the narrative.
And it's time for Lefties Losing It. And the Oscars were on today, so we're going to be bringing you the best and worst of Hollywood's Night of Nights. But let's start Lefties Losing It with our favourite little Swedish doom goblin, Greta Thunberg. And here we have the gal who set records for truancy.
Doom Goblin. That is pretty funny.
Showing incredible range. Not only is she an expert on catastrophic climate change and the Middle East, but her geopolitical expertise extends to Cuba. And of course, the country's many woes are not the fault of the communist government. It's all Donald Trump's fault.
We need to talk about what's happening in Cuba right now. As the Trump administration...
Let's talk about that haircut. Oh my God. I cut my own hair. I can blame myself. I hope she cuts her own hair.
Is waging illegitimate wars across the world, killing countless of people. It is also strangling the Cuban people, deliberately, methodically, and openly. The pedophile Trump himself bragged about it, saying there's an embargo, there is no oil, there's no money.
She said the pedophile Trump. Just saying, she said that.
There's no anything. He said it like it was something to be proud of.
What did that little Chucky doll lookalike call President Trump? I do hope he sues her for whatever ill-gotten gains she may have. And Greta was not done lecturing us about Cuba. She seems to think that she knows better than Cubans what is good for Cubans. She does not say a single word to condemn the brutal communist dictators or the reason why more than 1 million Cubans have fled their own country. It's all America's fault.
Cuba stood up for the world, and now it is time for the world to stand up for Cuba. And I'm asking all of you, every friend of peace,
Who was this chick in the first place again? Like, when she broke out, like, whatever her moment was, it's probably 10 years ago, right? Like, who planted this? This isn't by mistake.
defender of the right of peoples to determine their own futures to join. Wherever you are in the world, go to your local US embassy and make your voice heard. The people in power do not act unless we compel them to. And so now we compel them.
What an odious little troll she is. Now to the Oscars, and I'm sure you're just dying to hear some virtue signaling. Here is the...
If you're ever looking for a break from the news, this Sky News channel from Australia is like top shelf. It's more right wing than even me, than my mind, but it cracks me up at least because they have a good go.
The team
They've got at least a
behind
sense
the
of humor.
voice of Hain Rajab with this incoherent diatribe.
We're demanding a permanent ceasefire because there is no ceasefire right now. There are bombings happening to this day, destruction, displacements all over the world, in Palestine.
I want world peace.
Lebanon and Iran and Venezuela and everywhere. And this is
happening in the U.S., ICE.
Well, yes. So this is a demand for a permanent ceasefire.
ICE have to implement a ceasefire, and they want one also in Iran, just as the regime is about to fall. I mean, how sadistic of them to want to oppress the Iranian people. Let's hear more from this genius trio.
What's happening with ICE, Minneapolis, Gaza, everywhere, it's all connected. And we are all the same, we are all human, and hatred is a cancer. And people should open their hearts.
Stupidity is also a cancer, and how about opening your hearts to the plight of the Iranian people? There's a reason they are literally dancing in the streets over the Ayatollah being killed, over the regime being systematically...
See, they go really hard pushing their side. I'm not I don't care about whatever she's saying now. I don't find it funny, but most of the stuff they do on their channel is really funny.
It's because they would rather risk death than live under Islamist rule. Let's now hear from the host of the Oscars, Conan O'Brien, who had this little pointed joke.
Let's go.
First time since 2012 that there are no British actors nominated for Best Actor or Best Actress. Yeah. British spokesperson said, yeah, well, at least we arrest our pedophiles. So we got that going for us.
Not bad, but the arrests in the UK have not been about pedophilia or mistreatment of women, but about allegations of misconduct in public office. Anyway, we can't expect actors to be aware of little things like facts. Now, there were some bright moments at the Oscars, some genuine funny moments, including this from actress Anne Hathaway and Anna Wintour.
Anna, just curious, what do you think of my dress tonight?
And the nominees are?
Very well done. You need to have watched The Devil Wears Prada to appreciate the comedy there. And this from Sigourney Weaver was also superb.
Get away from him, you
Wow, good character recall. I peed myself a little.
Why is Pedro Pascal ruining it by talking needlessly? Let the ladies cook, but if the Oscars wanted to be actually entertaining for the whole thing, then they should throw millions at Ricky Gervais to host. You remember his superb work at the Golden Globes. If they can't get
Ricky Gervais is the funniest host of them all, for sure. Like, there's no doubt.
him over the line, then Jimmy
No
Carr would also be a brilliant option. Here is a taste of his work. Here he explains why he doesn't dare mock Islam.
Now, we are a little bit tight for time, so I probably can't do my Islamic bit. Well, obviously, I'm not going to be telling the same jokes about Muhammad. I'd feel very comfortable telling about Jesus Christ. And that's because, fun fact, I'm not an idiot. So if you're a Christian and you're sat there thinking, well, that's not fair. He makes jokes about Christians all day long, but he won't make the same sort of jokes about Muslims. Well, then maybe, as a Christian, you should think about blowing something up. Hey? No one's scared of you. What are the Christians going to do? Forgive me.
Yes, unlike the late-night TV comics in the US, who seem to be the front-runners to host Oscars and Golden Globes every year, Jimmy Carr is actually funny. Now to DC, where US Attorney for the...
On to the next.
Thank you to all the witnesses for taking the time to join this very important study, and thank you, Chief Roskamp, for your testimony. I'd like to start with you, because we heard witnesses earlier in this meeting say that the instances of criminals committing crime on bail are outliers. That was the exact word that one of them used. That when criminals commit crimes on bail, they are outliers. Is that your experience on the ground as a police officer, Chief Roskamp?
That is not my experience. The vast majority of individuals committing criminal offenses today are doing so pre-trial in a pre-trial recidivist way.
Just for context here, St. Thomas is a small community, but relatively speaking, fewer than 50,000 people. What is the volume, if you had to estimate, of these prolific offenders, these individuals that you would attribute to engaging in chronic criminality, and what is the burden that your police service is shouldering as a result of those individuals?
That's a great question. I can give you some statistics. Between 2022 and 2025, our police service laid approximately 7,500 criminal code charges. Of those 7,500 criminal code charges, 2,000 were failing to comply with court disposition. Consistently, year after year, we see about 33% of our charges being failed to complies. We have numerous individuals in our community, whether it's intimate partner violence or whether it's chronic criminality from small petty theft, petty crime, up to homicide. We're seeing fail to complies as a major pressing point, and individuals, offenders, understanding the legal system well, they know that bail conditions are rarely enforced. They anticipate delays in the court proceedings. They recognize that even serious charges may not lead to long-term detention. And in fact, it's what we're terming like they're gaming the system. And so I think that, is there any other areas you'd like answered in regards to that, Mr. Lawton?
I think you've addressed the question very well there. What I'm trying to get a sense of is, and you've indicated it there, so nearly 1/3 of all the charges you laid in that particular period of time were bail violations.
Correct.
So Explain to me, if you can, Chief Roskamp, the effect this has in particular on smaller communities. Because I know historically, 10 years ago, for example, before the Liberal government formed, there was an attitude in St. Thomas and communities of similar sizes across the country that basically these were all big city problems. And now we've seen this trickle down. So what is the effect on your resourcing, given that you are so comparatively smaller than the Torontos and the Vancouvers of the country?
This is a great question. The rise of violence and chronic criminality in small communities, it has far-reaching effects, and it creates widespread fear and trauma in communities and undermines the safety, a sense of safety of our residents. Violent incidents can reduce investment. It can harm tourism. It can increase municipal budgets. It increases municipal budgets, my budget as a police service. And over time, the community's identity shifts. We had between 23 and 24, 22% increase in our crime severity index. Although we had among, a national high and the reduction of non-violent crime severity, that's your break and enters, your mischiefs, your minor thefts, 32% reduction. And so we're proud of that, but it's such fragile gains that we have to be careful. And we're looking at this chronic criminality as being such a pressure point for smaller communities. In 2024, we unfortunately experienced 2 homicides. One of those homicides, a young lady was shot and killed in a parking lot in a downtown corridor. The individual that's alleged to have committed this crime was out on bail. And so it affects communities of all sizes. You do not have to be in large metropolitan centers or in the GTA for this to affect your community. And we're seeing that, and that manifested in a big way post-COVID. That chronic criminality, and it has lasting serious impacts on communities.
You mentioned, Chief Roskamp, in your opening statement, 2 bills specifically, the Liberal bills C-48 and C-75. Can you draw a direct line between that legislation and the problems you've been describing?
Simply put, I believe C-75 has created less safe communities. Is my opinion, near 30-year career in policing. Releasing individuals at the earliest opportunity with the least onerous conditions has gone too far. It does seem as though almost every individual who faces the court system is released. And to be quite honest, offenders know this, and that's part of the gaming that's occurring today, and that's real. Our main criticisms of C-75 are that it removed tools that allow judges to account for long-term criminal history and compliance behavior, resulting in more frequent releases. 48 was a step in the right direction, but it had gaps. It didn't allow for judges to consider anything beyond 5-year limitations with regards to prior convictions. And so we're left with the position we're in now. All we're asking for is better court-level decision-making frameworks, among other areas, and I can get into those if you'd like. With regards
that'll
to our
have to be with another member of Parliament. Thank you for your time, Chief Roskamp.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Minister, you've moments ago set down another stake in the ground, so to speak, in what is a moving goalpost with respect to getting the Foreign Influence Registry up and running. You say that it will be up and running in early spring, but I'll remind you of the timeline. Nearly 2 years ago, when the legislation to establish such a registry was before Parliament, your predecessor, Dominic LeBlanc, promised that the registry would be up and running before the federal election. That didn't happen. Then your government promised that it would be up and running by June of 2025. That didn't happen either. Then you, Minister, promised that it would be up and running by December of 2025. That didn't happen. It's now February of 2026, and you've set down another timeline, another date. So given a record of making commitments that it would be up and running 3 times, 3 different dates. Each time you missed the deadline. Why should we have confidence that that's going to happen now?
Look, I share the frustration that you have in the delays involved in getting to this point. But what I can assure this committee is that all the requisite work have been done, essentially complete. So with respect to the 3 elements I talked about, so the first one being the appointment of the commissioner, we have canvassed with your party, with the Bloc, along with recognized groups in the Senate. We have tabled a formal request, and we will have a vote on that in the near future.
Minister, I'm going to ask you to be a little clearer. When you say early spring, what is that? What does that mean?
When?
What is early spring?
So if I may just, I advise you on the first piece. The second piece is the regulations.
I'm asking you for what is the latest timeline? You've given months. So what is the month? Is it April? Is it May?
I'm not going to give you an exact month, Mr. Cooper, but I will say we are targeting, like the work has been done, right? So the first piece is the commissioner. The second element is the regulations, which are ready to be finalized. With greatest respect,
your government has dragged its feet, and I'll remind you that for years, your government opposed and obstructed the creation of a foreign influence registry. Just before the 2021 election, then Conservative MP Kenny Chu introduced a private member's bill to establish a foreign influence registry. As a result of his advocacy for a registry, MP Chu was drowned by a sea of Beijing-directed disinformation, costing him his seat, disinformation that was amplified by the Liberal Party in Steveston, Richmond East, only after Madam Justice Hoag's damning report did your government finally put forward legislation to establish such a registry, which the national security establishment has been calling for years. So after opposing and obstructing a registry, isn't it the case that the new strategy is one of endless delay by your government? Because if it was such a priority, it would surely be up and running now.
I would categorically reject your assertion on this, Mr. Cooper. What I will say is the commission itself, the initial Hoag inquiry was called by...
Gary's so full of shit. Like, you can just tell that he's not a straight-talking guy.
This government. When Prime Minister Carney formed government, it was a top priority for him. We've been identifying the appropriate commissioner. That name is now before the House. We have completed the work, essentially completed the work on the regulations. There's some recommendations, including from members of your party, that I'm taking into account, and I will revise before the final regulations are tabled. And then the system itself will be up and running. So my commitment to this committee and to all Canadians is that the registry will be up and running in the spring.
Minister, the registry's not in place, the office isn't open, and it's been more than 2 years. And your government talks a lot about obstruction, which is ironic because Conservatives worked with your government to get Bill C-70 passed expeditiously in the last Parliament. And what we have seen up until now is excuses, dragging your feet to get this important tool up and running in the face of very serious threats of foreign interference, including from hostile foreign states, foreign interference that you have now downplayed in this committee when you refuse to, first of all, identify the obvious, that being that the People's Republic of China is the biggest foreign interference actor and threat to our democracy, and your categorical refusal to state the obvious, that the Beijing-based communist regime is a perpetrator of human rights, doesn't respect the rule of law, doesn't have independent oversight over law enforcement, and now your government sees fit to do a deal on law enforcement with the Beijing-based communist regime. I don't know how Canadians could possibly have confidence in your government.
We're well over.
Well, the Cabinet and the Secretaries of State feature 24 new faces, a number of old faces.
This is Kyle Seaback on CBC. Kyle Seaback is a very well-spoken gentleman. Anyways, David Cochrane's what he is, a loser. Bit of a propagandist.
Remain from Trudeau's cabinet, several pegged to play key roles in managing Canada-U.S. relations. Here with me to discuss all of this is Ontario Conservative MP Kyle Seaback, who joins me now. Kyle Seaback, welcome to the show. It's good to see you, sir.
Thanks very much. Happy to be here.
So Mark Carney said this was a brand new government, purpose-built to meet the moment. Your leader is unconvinced. What's the concern with what we saw today?
I mean, I'm skeptical as well. If you look at sort of the core of what's been put together, it looks remarkably similar to the government under Justin Trudeau. The key ministers are all the same. And when you look at the record of the last 10 years, they're a big part and a big responsibility for that record, you know, with housing prices, with inflation, with crime. All of these things that Canadians have been very unhappy about and were unhappy about in the election, the people that supported the policies that led to all of that now have key roles in this government. So to me, it's kind of like the Who song that we sort of call Teenage Wasteland, Meet the New Boss, same as the old boss. That's kind of what it looks like to me.
Okay, so it's the Baba O'Reilly cabinet in your view, right?
Yes.
Well, look, I wonder, I mean, you were elected, what, in 2019, right? First, correct?
I was elected in 2011 originally, but I took a brief vacation.
Yes, you had a hiatus there.
Yes.
Well, so you've been under Mr. Harper, Mr. Scheer, Mr. O'Toole, and now Mr. Poilievre as leader.
That's correct.
Very different approaches under those four men. Mark Carney seems like a very different leader and prime minister than Justin Trudeau was. So is it not plausible that a change of that significance in that job can shift how everyone below him functions?
I mean, look, I hope for Canadians' sake that there is a change, because the last 10 years really have not been great for Canadians and for Canada in general. Whether you look at, you know, per capita income, you look at the crime stats, you look at housing prices. I know I look at them. The average housing price in my town of Orangeville, where I live, is $750,000. So if you put like just a small down payment, 10%, you got to save $75,000, and then you have a $675,000 mortgage. So this is a real problem. I have a 21-year-old son, and he wants to buy a house. It's going to be very hard for him to afford a house. And with the key ministers that brought in all of these policies, whether it was the mess in immigration, whether it is the housing accelerator that didn't accelerate anything, you know, all of these things, nothing has really, the key ministers haven't changed. So I think it's going to be a real challenge for Mr. Carney to change the direction of the ship. But I hope for Canadians' sake, he does, because we do need change.
Right. Look, there's no question the immigration escalation created a lot of challenges. The housing accelerator may be too early to fully judge its effectiveness, right? Because I know municipalities say they like it. It is unlocking some zoning changes and could help with reducing costs by paying for some infrastructure. But I want to go back to something that Mr. Poilievre said there off the top. Am I right in understanding his words when he says, when it comes to dealing with the Canada-US, we will support them? It's almost like he's drawn a line of division between the foreign policy issues they're dealing with and the domestic challenges that kind of take it easy a bit on the Canada-US thing, but really focus the accountability function on the domestic side of things. Am I reading that approach correctly?
Well, I think what it's showing is the importance of the Canada-US relationship. I used to be the Shadow Minister for International Trade, so I know that, you know, 70% of Canadian GDP, approximately, give or take, during the year, is based on trade, and again, approximately 70% of that is with the United States. So that's 49% of the Canadian economy is tied to trade with the United States, approximately. So that relationship, we want to be successful. And of course, if we can help make that relationship successful, that's just good for Canada. It's good for Canadians, good for Canadian workers, and something we would want to support.
Right. So, I mean, obviously, when Parliament comes back, Mr. Poilievre's not going to be there until after the by-election out in Alberta. But does that mean that becomes an issue that is not so much central to the theater of question period that happens every day? You know what I mean? In terms of like the questions about Donald Trump.
It's really rich to hear him call anything the theater. David Cochrane, again, this guy is off on stress leave, they say. I don't know if that could be a rumor. I can't confirm that. But if he's off on stress leave, he should be. He did something and has been doing something that should cause you stress after you've done it.
Mr. Brock, for 6 minutes. Go ahead, sir.
Do some
Thank you,
Larry
Chair.
Brock.
Thank you to the witnesses for your attendance today.
With time permitting, I will circle back to the focus of this meeting, that being social media and foreign interference. But there's another pressing issue that Canadians want answers to. And Deputy Commissioner Larkin, all my questions will be directed towards you. You'll agree that there are basic legal tenets under criminal law, namely that ignorance of the law is no excuse, that every Canadian is certainly not above the law. That includes all members of Parliament and the Prime Minister himself. Would you agree with that?
Through you, Mr. Chair, that's the foundation of democracy and the democratic institutions that we provide support to and enforce the Criminal Code of Canada and other jurisdictional laws such as provincial and or municipal.
Thank you. And notwithstanding that no sitting Prime Minister has ever been criminally charged with an offence under the Criminal Code of Canada and or convicted of a criminal offence, if your service, if the RCMP service had reasonable and probable grounds to believe that Prime Minister Justin Trudeau had committed a criminal offence, the service would charge accordingly.
Chair,
isn't that correct?
Point of order, please.
Okay, we've got a point of order. Go ahead.
Well, I understand we have guests today to discuss a topic that we have in front of us, and I think that we should go on topic and not go out of topic. So I would appreciate, Mr. Chair, if we can go on the topic of the study that we have right now.
Mr. Brock is an experienced litigator. He did say at the onset that he's going to get to where he needs to go, so I want to give him some latitude. Generally, as you know, I give each member their time to discuss generally what they want. And if it brings us to a point where we end up, which I expect that's where Mr. Brock is going with this, then he's got the floor. He can ask whatever questions he wants. Mr. Brock, I did stop your time. I didn't stop it right away, but I'll give you a 10-second head start, and then I'll restart your time.
Chair, can I challenge on this? We are talking about relevance of the topic, and I believe
the issue with relevance, Madam Fortier, is it's somewhat subjective.
It's
Mr. Brock,
subjective when we're in a committee talking about social media study, and we're talking about the Prime Minister at this time. So I think that maybe we should come back to the relevance of this topic that we have in front of us as a study.
Mr. Brock, you have the floor. I expect that you're going to get to a point where you need to go.
Relevancy will be established if I'm not interrupted by Liberal members.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Go ahead.
So, Deputy Commissioner Larkin, if I can have a response to that question. If the service had reasonable and probable grounds to believe that Justin Trudeau had committed a criminal offence, the service would charge accordingly. Isn't that correct?
Through you, Mr. Chair, again.
Do you guys think Justin Trudeau is a criminal? Just asking. Let me know in the comments. Jump into the chat. Let me know what you think. Because I think Justin Trudeau is a criminal that just walks around like he never did, or he didn't do all the things that he did. He never has faced a real consequence for anything. And I'm not talking about elbowing some chick in the boob, but COVID, the lockdown, the trucker convoy. Give me a break. This guy is a criminal. He froze bank accounts.
And appreciate the question.
Again, that's just my opinion. Let me know what you think, though.
Very hypothetical in nature. Obviously, we investigate. Our mandate is to investigate criminal investigations, regardless of who the target is. We have a sensitive and international investigations section that has a mandate to investigate sensitive, high-risk matters that cause significant threats to Canada's political, economic, social integrity. And so, again, that is left to the frontline investigators in consultation with prosecutors, et cetera, determine that. But again, it would be hypothetical to speak to a certain scenario.
Well, I respectfully disagree with you. The mandate for every single police officer, whether it's
Again,
frontline...
Chair, I'd like to point of order, please.
Okay, what's your point of order again?
The same as I mentioned
And as I
earlier,
said-
the relevance
as I
of
said,
this is
I-
unfortunately under the topic, Chair, and I challenge the fact that we should be really focusing on this study today, which is not, unfortunately, what is not MP Brock doing. So the relevance should be stated, and we should go back to the topic that we have in front of us.
I'm gonna give him more time to establish where he's going with this. I appreciate on the issue of relevance, as I said earlier, it's subjective. Mr. Brock has indicated that he's going to go to social media, and I expect that that's going to happen. Go ahead, Mr. Brock.
So I'm going to circle back with respect to Deputy Commissioner Larkin. It's a hypothetical, but I think it's a question that's easily answerable, because every single police unit in this country, you'd agree with me, has a singular threshold, a singular legal threshold to lay a charge as simple as mischief or shoplifting, all the way to homicide. And that is, does the service have reasonable and probable grounds to believe an offense has been committed? You'd agree with me, sir, that is the legal threshold for policing in this country.
Through you, Mr. Chair, that would be the threshold of any criminal investigation, is to follow the evidence, to ensure that we do comprehensive investigations and actually interview and look at the entirety of it, and that's the threshold to ensure that it meets the facts and issue of the offense we're investigating.
Thank you. And I appreciate that your service has a sensitivity or a sensitive unit, and certainly potentially criminally investigating the Prime Minister for
Again,
potentially
Chair,
obstruction of justice.
I will ask for a point of order on relevance.
Okay, go ahead.
And again, Chair, he said it at the beginning. MP Brock said that he would be not in line with questioning on this study. So I would just like to bring it back to this study that we have at this time. It would be very appreciated that we can focus on, as you know, we've been trying to focus on this study for a long time. We have great guests here that can answer many questions. At another time, if the MP wants to discuss another study, but today is off relevance at this time.
Thank you, Madam Fortier. On that
Can I
point,
respond?
on that point of order,
Yeah.
go ahead.
So if Ms. Fortier and any member of the Liberal bench wish to continue to point of order my questions before the question is even put to the witness, then we are defeating the purpose by which we are here. Now, I hear from Ms. Fortier that she wants to deal with questions surrounding social media and foreign interference. And if she continues to interrupt me, and she and her colleagues continue to interrupt me, then there's going to be very little time for them to have the opportunity to deal with what they believe to be relevant questions. And I agree with you, Chair. Relevancy is a very subjective art. And I stated at the outset, with time permitting, I will be circling back to the content matter of this meeting.
Okay.
But I object to this constant interference by these Liberal, and they're laughing. Yeah, you laugh all you want, Carolyn Bennett, because it's not funny to Canadians, sir.
Mr. Brock, I'm going to ask that you continue. You said you were going to deal with the subject matter at hand. I'm going to ask in the 2 minutes that you have left, 2 minutes and 10 seconds that you have left, that you go in that direction. Thank you, sir.
So, Officer Larkin, my apologies, Deputy Commissioner Larkin. I think what we were getting at before I was interrupted now a third time is this whole concept about a legal threshold. And notwithstanding that no Prime Minister has ever been charged criminally, but in relation to the RCMP investigation, which is no secret to the Liberal bench.
Point of order again,
no secret.
Mr. Chair. Point of order on relevance. You were pretty clear that we were going to be talking about the current study, and I haven't really seen in the introduction that we are going there. Therefore, before our guests have to answer questions, I think it would be great for having the relevance of this study again.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate that, Madam Fortier. And as I said at the onset, I generally give a lot of latitude in terms of lines of questioning, hoping that we end up at a point where we're dealing with the study. I expect that that's where Mr. Brock is going. I've got Mr. Barrett on that point of order, and then followed by you, Mr. Green. So go ahead, Mr. Barrett, on the point of order.
Mr. Chair, I would expect that had we not had 4 interruptions in less than 4 minutes to Mr. Brock, or 4 minutes of running time, his clock has had to be stopped several times, that we'd have the opportunity to get to where he wants to go. But he's at a disadvantage when each time the time is stopped, he restates the same question. So if he's just given the opportunity to ask his question, then without having to repeat it, then perhaps the fullness of what he's looking to get to would be heard by the committee, but he's not being given that opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Barrett. Mr. Green, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And Mr. Chair, you know I have a lot of respect for you. I think you're doing a good job in the seat there. I'm going to just share with you what my concern is with what's happening right now. My concern is that as somebody who will often use procedure, and I know my good friend Mr. Brock will have an appreciation of this. We spent a lot of time together on Dead Sea. My concern is that when filibusters arise, and they do, you will often know that I'll reflect on the ruling of relevance. And if what we're doing now is setting a precedent that allows for any and all topics at any and all times to be debated, that's going to affect my future interventions when it comes to filibusters on relevance. So, I know Mr. Brock has a deep respect and consideration for procedural rules, and I would ask that we get back to the study at hand so that in future debates, when I call a point of relevance, that you won't reflect back on today and say, anything and everything is fair game.
We're just trying something different this afternoon, guys. We're floating around. We're going to have to all week. They're off again. Smash the like, hit subscribe. We cover Canadian federal politics here, and sometimes we have to dive into the bank of older videos, but they're still pertinent. Anyways, Aaron, smash the like, hit subscribe. Back to the
Yeah, I've generally tried to give a lot of latitude, as you know, Mr. Green, in lines of questioning, regardless of the subject matter. I happen to fundamentally believe that a member's 6 minutes is their 6 minutes. If they want to talk about rainbows and unicorns, they can do that. Mr. Brock, I'm asking you to come back to the subject matter at hand, if you can, sir, and you have the floor. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair.
For a minute and 40 seconds.
So again, Deputy Commissioner Larkin, hopefully I can get this question out. Now, social media, my social media, is absolutely abuzz with concerns in regards to this particular area. And I can mention social media 1,000 times to satisfy my Liberal colleagues, but social media is such that Canadians want to know, is the RCMP impervious to the thought that the Prime Minister is incapable of being charged with a criminal offense? Now, I know that this is a sensitive matter, but I asked you for a pointed response, and I'm not getting a pointed response. If the RCMP had reasonable and probable grounds to believe that our Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, had been involved in a criminal offense, which is your legal threshold, reasonable and probable grounds, that you consulted with the appropriate legal authorities, you consulted with the Department of Justice, you consulted with provincial and territorial Crown attorneys. If they gave you the green light that the facts and the evidence was there, that your legal threshold was met, can you advise Canadians that in that hypothetical, you could charge the Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, with a criminal offense? Yes or no, sir?
Okay, before he answers, what do you think his answer should be if he knows they should have charged him and didn't? Because that is what this guy does know, that they should have charged him, but they didn't. Let's see how he answers.
In 20 seconds,
Point of order on relevance again. Point of order on relevance again.
Relevance is subjective. But Mr. Larkin, you've got 20 seconds to answer that question if you want. Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Chair, to Mr. Brock, again, hypothetical scenario, but regardless of who the suspect is, we follow the legal threshold. We're true to our oath, and we would actually follow the evidence of any criminal investigation, and that's our mandate. So thank you.
So I think what we have up next is some Melissa Lantsman, like on CBC.
Now by the Deputy Conservative Party leader, Melissa Lantsman. Melissa Lantsman, good to see you. Thanks for coming in today.
More of this worm, David Cochrane, who is off on stress leave because he's been so dishonest. Now he has to answer to his lies, like when he goes to the grocery store, something like that. I'm guessing. Again, I haven't heard that he's even off. But if I were to speculate on why he was off, it's probably because he has a tough time walking around in the streets being a propagandist liar, like thinking he is broadcasting the news. Maybe he's caught up into that so much that he believes his own shit, but I doubt it. I believe that he knows and forgot, and then had to go out and get groceries, and people didn't treat him very well.
Agreed to fast track this motion, even though you criticized it today, saying it won't really help that much, and all of the spending is going to add to inflation.
Yeah, certainly. Well, you've got almost $12.5 billion of new inflationary debt. That's after a budget was just put on the table. This is unaccounted for spending. So there's no doubt that that's going to have an impact on the rising cost of everything, as more spending always does. But
so why vote for inflation then?
So the criticism here is that this is the exact same thing. It was that same finance minister when he was industry minister.
So why vote for inflation then? He says shit like that. That is why he's on stress leave, because he's stupid.
Just 3 years ago, made the same announcement. Actually, he summoned grocery store CEOs. He told everybody that he would increase competition and the grocery prices would stabilize. And that didn't happen. In fact, we have the highest grocery inflation in the G7. We have 2.2 million people using a food bank in a single month. So we're not going to stand in the way of the minimal relief that hungry people will get. But we're not enthusiastic about it. Again, we're not going to stand in the way.
But if the bigger consequence is, as you say, this is a deficit spending initiative, and it is the deficit, the Conservatives hold, that is driving food inflation, how can you vote for inflation when you've criticized this for years?
Here's the thing. If somebody gave you a $10 coupon when you walked into the grocery store, would you not take it?
Yeah.
Of course you would. But that doesn't really get to the crux of the problem, and it doesn't really do much for most people, who, by the way, won't get this, on a $300 grocery tab. Our suggestion is to do this and bring forward the solutions that we've talked about. Getting rid of the industrial carbon tax, the excessive food packaging taxes that end up about $1 billion, which is passed down to the consumer, the fuel standard, which is 17 cents a liter on gas. Those things would actually reduce and reduce spending.
But, there's a lot of economic analysis, and I'm looking at a report here from the TD Bank talking about why food inflation is higher here versus the United States. And there's a bunch of issues on specific things, like meat is being affected by a drought from like 4 or 5 years ago, but the U.S. grows most of its own fruit and vegetables. We import more than half of our fruits and vegetables from the U.S. So the weak Canadian dollar, buying in U.S., selling in Canadian, these are reasons why it's higher here rather than deficit spending.
It doesn't account for why our food inflation is the highest. There are lots of other countries in the G7 that import much of their food, and we're 2 times higher.
Japan's is higher than ours, and the UK is
we're the highest. Our inflation growth is the highest in the G7 right now. So it doesn't really account for why we are half, or why ours is double the U.S. Like, we've got enough food to feed ourselves and feed the world. We've got some farmers, we've got smart people. I think we're squandering our potential and our resources, and we want to bring solutions to the table. We've done that. We're going to do that tomorrow again with a motion in the House, and we hope that the government will take some of this and start to look at the factors that will reduce food costs in this country.
Right. I mean, the analysis from TD Bank and others, though, is like the blame for the government in food inflation over the past year would be the 25% retaliatory tariffs on the U.S. Those affected things coming.
He's like the lawyer for the federal government. He's a scumbag that argues invalid points just to distract. But he hides behind this guise of being a journalist. Maybe that's why he's on stress leave. If he is, I don't know if he is or isn't. I wish him well if he is.
And the currency is a challenge, transportation costs, the concentration of our grocery sector versus the U.S., and the lack of fruit and vegetable production here.
This is a minister who, again, summoned those CEOs. They said that they would increase competition. He said that food prices would stabilize by Thanksgiving 3 years ago. Here we are today. He's the finance minister. He's saying the exact same thing, making the exact same announcement. Actually, if you put the announcements sort of side by side with Prime Minister Trudeau and Prime Minister Carney, it almost looks like the same grocery store. No price tags behind them, and almost the same words on a failed policy the first time around. So it seems a big Groundhog Day, if you will, to do it again.
But I guess my point is there's a lot of economic analysis.
Just watch him. Like, he is such a rat. And again, I wish him well. I wish him better health. Maybe because he turned into a psycho the last couple of years doing this. Behoovance of the Liberal Party. He just keeps selling it. It's so frustrating. Like,
just the deficit is not what's causing this, right? Because just the math, like, I'm not going to say an $80 billion deficit is small by any stretch of the imagination. It's 2.5% of GDP. But the comparator you're using on the grocery prices is the U.S. Their deficit is $1.7 trillion, which is 6% of GDP. So if it was straight line from deficit to food prices.
He's trying to explain the Liberal cause to the deputy Conservative leader. Like,
America's would be much higher.
On national TV. Like,
I've never said it was a straight line, and certainly I think it's one of the factors. And another $12.5 billion after just presenting a budget. So this is unaccounted for cash. We don't know if it's $12 billion more. We don't know where that $12 billion comes from. But it is things like the packaging tax. It is things like a fuel standard. You just talked about transportation costs. It is things like an industrial carbon tax.
Well, okay.
Those things are passed down.
There's a lot of carve-outs. The industrial carbon tax, I've talked about this with Mr. Scheer many times. There's many carve-outs in that.
Like, she just smacked him. He's so sassy. I don't understand.
Exemptions to protect different things. But on this, whether you agree with the policy direction or not, and I take your point, this is new spending outside of the budget. Now, the $12 billion is over 5 years, but it's still billions in year one. You're willing to cooperate on
It's actually higher in year one because
there's a 50% top up in 1 year. But you're willing to work with them on this. We've just learned that Mr. Poilievre and the Prime Minister will have a meeting at some point this week, and I know the scheduling of that needs to be worked out. There is an agreement of some sort to move ahead on the bail reform legislation, which again you see as kind of a half loaf, but let's not get in the way of it.
We'll take what we can get.
Where else are you willing to cooperate with the government? Because on things like the clean fuel standard, industrial carbon pricing, plastics ban, I'm not sure they want to do those things.
I think we want to see the Prime Minister put his words into actual outcomes.
In Canada's car capital, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre is pitching an auto policy he says can save the industry.
We can't just wave the white flag.
Amid U.S. President Donald Trump's punishing tariffs, Poilievre wants to slap his own levies on automakers that do not assemble vehicles here at home. Under the proposed plan, if companies build a car in Canada, they can bring in another one made in the U.S. or Mexico duty-free.
This would create a powerful incentive for them to relocate and repatriate production back to this country.
Poilievre also wants to drop the GST on Canadian-made cars to spur demand for vehicles like the Dodge Charger.
We will bring our factories roaring back to life.
That could be deemed hate speech.
Their parties were trying to find a way forward on what's become a very divisive and polarizing bill. We were set to pick it back up on Wednesday, and then the horrific events in Tumbler Ridge just caused all parliamentary business to be put on hold. So as it stands now, this is actually a break week for parliamentarians. MPs are back in their ridings. But next week, we are expecting the Justice Committee to be reconvened and Bill C-9 to be once again up for discussion. And I just want to say that there were issues with the bill from the get-go about the redefinition of hate, the idea of lowering the threshold at which speech can become criminalized, some other changes as well that this law would make to the criminal code. But this removal of the religious defense that you mentioned, this was a Bloc Québécois amendment that the Liberal MPs on the committee supported. So that amendment is now part of the legislation.
Actually, gang, I think the best plan right now is to cross over into we had lined up in the committee meeting shows the clips. It's a weird thing how we mix up these shows. Anyways, we're getting straight into this, and this is specifically about what Andrew Lawton was talking about.
Things that are very concerning in the bill, and there are things that are not in the bill that should be in the bill. These are the kind of conversations that members of this committee in good faith can deal with, and I suspect would be able to. I agree wholeheartedly with Mr. Brock that there is a lot more consensus around Bill C-14 than there is around Bill C-9,
Point of order.
Especially now.
Mr. Chang, yeah.
How is this relevant to C-9 again?
Chair, you'll find it. If you give me 60 seconds, it will become very clear where it is relevant.
You have your 60 seconds, but I would like you to get to the point.
Of course.
Thank you.
So the reason I bring that up about C-14 is to give the Liberals an opportunity to do the right thing. We, as Conservatives, are not going to allow this assault on religious freedom and freedom of expression to become law. And I am prepared to speak for as long as it takes to stop this from taking place, to make good on a promise that I made to my constituents, to my to Canadians, and
Point of order.
Frankly,
I represent Burnaby, which is a very diverse community in Canada. And
You haven't heard his. Hold on. You haven't heard what he's going to say.
Is there any standing order that
long lead up to your point are acceptable? Mr. Chang, go ahead.
my constituent believes that C9 and C14 are equally important.
Not a point of order.
He's 5 words into his point of order. Allow the member to make his point, and then I'll decide whether it's a point of order or not.
Chair, is there somewhere specific I should sit?
Do you really want me to answer that question? I'm happy. Can I be candid? Make yourself comfortable.
There's a seat right there.
Mr. Chang. You're done? Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. So,
getting ready for being in government.
As I was saying, we are prepared to do what it takes to stop not just bad law, but dangerous law from being enshrined in Canada's criminal code. The Liberals can do the right thing at any point, agree to prioritize C-14. If not, they are holding critical bail reforms hostage to justify their assault on civil liberties. And it is not something we will stand for. Thank you.
Okay. Who is next? I think Mr. Jennis, you were next on the list.
Well, thank you, Chair. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to speak here at the Justice Committee. And I've been observing with great interest the discussion thus far on Bill C-9, and in particular, the discussion on the issues of religious liberty that have been raised by this Liberal bloc amendment that have passed and now are further discussed in this amendment from my colleague, Mr. Lawton, aimed at protecting religious freedom. And Chair, as I talk about religious freedom, I do want to just acknowledge the presence of people in the room who have come to Parliament Hill to observe these discussions, people who are concerned about religious freedom issues. I know I saw people here that I know from the Muslim, the Jewish, and the Christian communities, all who came to observe these discussions. And I certainly wouldn't want to put words in their mouth. They can all speak for themselves in various fora. But I want to thank people who care about religious freedom for being here. And I know there are many people watching these discussions online who care deeply about religious freedom. And I want people who are watching to have maybe a sense of something you can't see on the video feed. And that is that normally at committees, the Conservatives would have 4 members sitting around the table who are the regular members of the committee. And right now, I count 10 Conservatives sitting around this table. We've even had issues raised of people sitting too close to each other, which is something we can work out. But it illustrates the point that we have many Conservative members of Parliament who are here in the evening and who will be here as long as it takes. because we care deeply about the defense of religious freedom. So I know there are people watching who are fighting on this issue, who are writing letters, who are emailing their members of parliament, who are talking to their faith leaders, who are even door knocking in their own communities to raise awareness about what's happening with Bill C-9. I want to thank Canadians from all faith backgrounds and from coast to coast who have worked hard to make their voices heard. And I want you to know that Conservatives are here in force. We hear you, and we will stand with you, making the case for religious freedom and for freedom of speech. And we need people at home, people across the country, people who care about religious freedom, to continue making their voices heard, to continue contacting members of this committee and members of parliament, to continue talking to their neighbors and friends. It has been incredible to see the speed and the scope of mobilization that there has been in this country in response to this Bloc Liberal deal attacking religious freedom. Communities have reacted with lightning speed. They have just been moved so much faster than I have ever seen before, and I know that mobilization is only beginning. And it was in response to this mobilization that the government initially appeared checked in their plans to attack religious freedom. As recently as this week, there was an article quoting multiple government sources that looked like it was people within the Liberal Party trying to throw the Justice Minister under the bus and say this whole thing was his idea cooked up without consulting others. But whatever the genesis of this bad idea within the Liberal Party was, I guess today they have decided to close ranks in their attack on religious liberty. We have just seen members of the government line up all to support the Bloc amendment attacking religious freedom. And if members think they've started to receive a public response, if they think they've started to see Canadians concerned, I would say you ain't seen nothing yet. You're going to be hearing in the days, weeks, and months ahead from Canadians who take their religious freedom and their freedom of speech seriously, and who will be responding in force. In particular, I know that the Prime Minister has tried to suggest that he would be more open or more friendly to communities of faith than the last Liberal Prime Minister was. But with this amendment being adopted, that false impression has been totally blown out of the water. Prime Minister Mark Carney has shown with the vote of MPs today that he is willing to go even further than his predecessor in attacking the basic religious liberties of faith communities. And I know that faith leaders in every community will take note tonight of the fact that the Prime Minister has allowed this to happen, has supported his Justice Minister, and that the government, notwithstanding whatever second thoughts they may have had, has followed through on this attack on religious freedom. The Conservatives are the only party that is defending religious freedom, and we will maintain that stand. We will stand for what is right. We will stand alone if necessary. We will stand against Bill C-9, and we will defend the fundamental freedoms of Canadians. Religious freedom is deeply important. It is part of our Constitution. As has been noted, it's part of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. It wasn't new with the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. The defense of religious liberty is part of the Bill of Rights. It's part of the implied Bill of Rights dating back to our founding as a country. It is fundamental.
Let's get that back to something a little bit more interesting. We'll start to get into the confrontation.
Immediately chose not to renew the mandate of the Office of Religious Freedom.
Mr. Housefather.
Relevance, Mr. Chair. He's straying farther and farther away from an amendment to the bill and Clause 4. Like,
Sorry,
we're not now debating whether or not the Office of Religious Freedom should be renewed or not renewed. This is getting very far away from where we're going, Mr. Chair. And I don't mind. I understand that the amendment has the words freedom of religion in it, but I think you need to just rein it back so it deals with the Criminal Code of Canada and the bill. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I agree with Mr. Housefather.
Yeah, well, that's
I sort of lost the
correct,
thread there a while ago myself. Maybe it was after high school, I think, when you mentioned. But if you could bring it back towards what we're talking about.
Chair, if you've lost the thread, I'm happy to go even slower than I've been speaking now.
Let me rephrase that. I don't think there was a thread.
Well,
but if you could bring it back closer to what we're talking about, we'd all be grateful. Thank you.
I have been led to believe that these issues of religious freedom are important in your constituency as well, especially the assaults on religious freedom that we've seen against the Tibet community.
Yes, your aunt is one of my political allies. I work very closely on there.
No family's perfect, Chair. But
she tells me that all the time.
Thank you, Chair. But
it's all a big joke.
Sure. I mean, to Mr. Housefather's point, let's just reiterate the amendment that is before the House. Before the committee. The amendment says nothing in this section is to be interpreted or applied as to interfere with the freedom of expression or the freedom of religion. And so.
All right. So I like Genu he's great, but he's getting boring, and this is a filibuster. Let's get into some Tamara Cronus. She is going to rip it up.
This bill and to the debate about this clause, which removes important safeguards for freedom of expression.
This lady is no joke. Like, Tamara Cronus is a stud.
Expression and religious freedom in particular. And I'm going to focus in on the idea that it behooves this committee and all the members of this committee to vote against this clause because of the fact that we should always vote against laws that we believe are unconstitutional. And I would submit to members of this committee that this clause, as it's proposed, amends the criminal code in a manner that is, in fact, unconstitutional in every way. It violates the Charter, it violates the Constitution, and in my remarks, I will explain how it arguably even violates the principles of natural justice. So in addition to doing that, when combined...
House, sorry, we have a point of order, Mr. Housefather.
Yes, I love Ms. Cronus, but the she's a wonderful person. I am a huge fan of Ms. Huge fan. But I think she's speaking to the wrong amendment, right? Unless she's arguing that Mr. Lawton's amendment removes all of these rights, she's not speaking to the amendment that's right now on the floor.
Well, I actually will be arguing that Mr. Lawton's amendment is important because it restores these rights.
I understand, but you were just at this amendment, so I just wanted to clarify that you weren't speaking to Mr. Lawton's amendment that you're arguing is doing that.
Oh, well, I thank you.
We're all feeling better now. Okay.
We're all widely, trying to achieve the same thing.
We're all getting very emotional now. Please continue.
So thank you for your many kindnesses, and as my late father would have said, thank you for everything. So this amendment is necessary in order to make it so that this bill is consistent with the Charter and the Constitution and these principles of natural justice. Because without it, this bill, especially when it's combined with the proposals to remove the Attorney General's consent to private prosecutions, which this committee did reject, but which the House could always revive, as we've seen in some cases when bills come back from committee, parts of them are revived. The bill, as written, has the power to amplify and unleash a wave of anti-religious animus and quite frankly, both inter and intra-religious conflict across this country as people use these provisions to litigate the idea that the state, through the courts, should effectively be able to edit the Bible, the Quran, and the Torah and other religious texts to ban the parts that offend them. So even if we have been successful in restoring the need for the Attorney General's consent for private prosecutions, the reality is that everything gets weaponized on social media. And this means that public assertions that various people should be arrested because of the things that they say at the pulpit and in other religious spaces will proliferate. And this is especially distressing considering the fact that these calls are already not uncommon in some of our communities. So I'd like to explain how my colleague's amendment helps. So the separation of church and state is a very important subject that sits at the heart of Canada's constitutional identity. It is a fundamental governing principle of our society, but one that developed over time. And
all right, gang. So we're going to try this. Like, I tried to set up this interface that can flip around from one interaction to another. And I think I did set it up the right way, but we've got to test it. So let's flip over here to Facebook. Pardon me, not Facebook, to Twitter, to X. And see if we have anything there, because I think we do.
Bill 11, on opposition to Bill 11.
Well, I can tell you that what we're intending to do is to improve service in the public system by making sure that doctors are able to do dual practice. We watched with some grave concern in Quebec as more and more doctors were opting out of the system, over 800, because they had to make a choice of either doing private medicine or public. So we don't want to go down that pathway. We are going to mandate that those who want to do dual practice have to continue providing the exact same service to the public system that they are today. And then whether it's evenings or weekends or in the days that they don't get surgical time, they'll be able to take on private patients. And so we think that this is going to improve the healthcare for Albertans.
And as a follow-up, is there any update on this rollout? I know it passed in December, but in terms of implementation, is in terms of the rollouts and timeline, like, are we already seeing success? Is it too early for that? Is there challenges? Like, just where are we at with it?
We're in the middle of putting the regulations together because, of course, we're going to have very detailed reporting requirements to verify that our doctors are continuing to deliver this exact same amount of service to the public system. And so those are in process. I imagine that we'll have them available for release within the next couple of months.
States and Israel have acted without engaging the United Nations or consulting allies, including Canada. So where to from here? With a rapidly spreading conflict and growing threats to civilian life. Canada reaffirms that international law binds all belligerents. We condemn the strikes carried out by Iran on civilians and civilian infrastructure across the Middle East. And we implore all parties, including the United States and Israel, to respect the rules of international engagement. Canada calls for a rapid de-escalation of hostilities and is prepared to assist in achieving this goal. The United States and Israel have...
A star's name, is it?
No.
No, like Leo DiCaprio captured you.
That's
but
true.
Bill Hader sounds like a guy who would do Inside Windows. But you've had an interesting career, haven't you?
Yes, I have.
I don't know a great deal about it. I see that you haven't been through hair or makeup. So that was a choice. So I guess this is the new Hollywood, the rebellion. Why shower?
Why shower?
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
And you rushed over here staying at Diddy's pool house. How's that going?
It's going okay. No, I'm not at Diddy's pool house.
Not anymore.
Not ever. Not ever.
You never said Diddy's pool house?
No, never invited.
I get
never
all the
invited.
wrong information.
No, I think you might have someone else's thing there.
I want to know everything about a Bill Hader. I want to know what makes you tick. But I don't want too much detail because I actually don't care.
Oh, okay.
So it's...
Seems about right.
Not a Trumper?
No.
Good God Almighty, really?
No, can't stand him.
You can't stand Trump?
No.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
That's freaky.
Is it over? Is our podcast over?
No, it's not. But,
We don't care.
I just love him. I just do. I totally relate to him, and he was so nice to me. He's like one of the only people that was ever nice to me in Hollywood. He's like a real guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like us. He shoots from the hip, but he's got good ideas, and he won't let nobody say, that can't be done. That's why I like him,
I could go into why I don't like him. But the list is just extremely long. I never take a stand one way or the other because I don't want people to.
AI already. Oh, I'm not sick of AI. I'm sick of the witless twats who tweet these shitty little fake things like.
I agree with this. Like, oh my God, AI is confusing the hell out of me because, it does fool you by now for a second. But you're a person that catches on to trends, right? It can only fool you for so long.
A fake bit of war.
It can only fool you forever.
Or a fake mugging. Or a fake fight. What's the fucking point? Everyone knows it's fucking fake. It's just, is that what it's for? This amazing piece of technology? Has that always been the case? When everything new came along, people just immediately used it to fucking lie and get attention. Like first cave paintings. Someone went, oh, what's that? Oh, that's when I killed the antelope. Oh, yeah, I remember. Yeah. What's that? Oh, that's when I beat up a mammoth, you fucking liar. You look at the wall. I beat up a mammoth. Fake.
That's funny.
This question is to all the prime ministers. As Arctic nations with valuable resources that President Donald Trump wants, do you feel the U.S. threat to Greenland's sovereignty and Canada's sovereignty is over? And what specific actions can you as middle powers take together to defend each other against threats to your nation's self-determination?
Okay. Well, maybe I'll start since it comes from Canada. It's a very fundamental question. And I think that give a sense of the spirit of the discussion and how we move forward. This is a very positive discussion. So it's how do we take more responsibility, even more responsibility for Arctic security? How do we work together in pooling our resources that we're increasing as part of our NATO pledges? How do we pool those?
Why do you have to pool your resources, dum-dum? Mark Carney's
about where the Liberal Party is tonight. Yes, you're going to form government again. Not sure what kind of government, but what do you make of what has been a remarkable turnaround?
I think it's a remarkable turnaround, Rosie. I look back to where we were as recently as December, and you know as well as I do that at that point, people had totally written us off. People were even talking about whether the Liberals would retain official party status. And right now, you are talking about what the strength of our government will be. So to me, that is a remarkable comeback, and I really want to say kudos to our Prime Minister, Mark Carney, who showed in his few weeks as Prime Minister that he is totally up to the job, and he has been a remarkable campaigner. So this is a great night.
Adding about $100 billion to what the Liberals were already going to do, blowing past their so-called fiscal guardrail. Well, it means that the money we spend on maintaining that debt, the money we spend on debt interest, cannot be spent on anything else. It can't. We already are looking at an amount of debt interest that effectively surpasses what the federal government gives in terms of the health transfer. We spend more on maintaining our debt, on paying the price for our reckless government spending in this country than we do on health care to provinces. This is something that is so important. Any money you spend on debt is money that you're effectively wasting away because you don't actually get to spend it on the services that Canadians need. You don't actually get to put it back in Canadians' pockets so that they can save or invest or do whatever it is that will be done more responsibly than what the government is doing. So we've been saying for the whole campaign here that Mark Carney is just like Justin Trudeau. Well, actually, by the numbers, he is far, far worse, and Canada and Canadians cannot afford it, literally.
Check this one out. It's pretty funny. It looks like Bill Clinton pushes Hillary Clinton into an intersection. I don't know if that's what really happens. Check it out.
Joe wants to go. Don't do that. Don't do that.
That on several counts you've discussed, you don't know what you're talking about. I would like, for example, for you to express in clear terms how, say, Java addresses the ideas embodied in OpenDoc. And when you're finished with that, perhaps you could tell us what you personally have been doing for the last 7 years.
You know, you can please some of the people some of the time.
Well, on to the next.
Mr. Carney, I just want to go back to a response you had to a question about Canadian job losses. Earlier today, you primarily talked about macroeconomics, the Major Projects Office, which is yet to actually approve the project, and some more things the government has announced that are going to be more medium to long-term projects. But what's your message to the 84,000 additional Canadians who are looking for work right now, who are worried about their bills today?
Well, the first thing is that any job loss, of course, is a challenge for the individuals, for their families. And what's important is that we're putting in place not just the measures for the long term. By the way, don't have time to go through all the elements of the premise that aren't exactly accurate there in terms of approvals and moving forward, but also that we're providing support in moving the economy forward. Here's where the Canadian economy is today. Well, we've lost jobs. We've also created jobs. We have taken steps immediately to help Canadians in terms of the tax cut for 22 million Canadians.
I like this guy, Mark Nixon, too. Just like he's across all interfaces. He's on YouTube. He's on X. Somebody to pay attention to.
A reviewed study published yesterday in a world-leading scientific journal found that closing a supervised drug consumption site led to no increase in deaths and no increase in emergency room visits. In fact, after the drug site closed, users were more likely to access life-saving addiction treatment. Wow. Every single drug consumption site in Canada exists only because the health minister approved them under federal law. The minister claims to follow science, so does she accept the science that proves consumption sites are not the solution to addiction? Great question.
She's a beast. Voodoo.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Comme mon collègue le sait déjà, je l'ai répété plusieurs fois, il n'y a pas une seule solution pour résoudre cette crise. Et c'est sûr, il y a différentes recherches qui montrent plusieurs résultats.
L'interprétation ne fonctionnait pas.
We needed a Haitian translator.
The interpreter apologizes. The microphone was off. Interpretation is back. From the beginning again, please. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
She's a pimp.
As I have told my colleagues several times, a number of different studies show different results on the matter of supervised consumption sites. And as my colleague knows, there is not one single solution to this question. Supervised consumption sites are there to save lives, which doesn't mean that we can't also have other kinds of treatment. Everything can be done at the same time.
Who's up for some pancakes?
Canadians that if any homeowner won't be charged if armed intruders enter their property.
We don't want to create a system where people feel they have the right to shoot and kill somebody.
People understand people's fear of being victimized in their home. People are concerned to leave their children at home at night when they go out, and it's absolutely an issue.
All right, what's next?
Thing. People have their arguments about floor crossers.
Dirtbag.
But he's taking from the NDP, he's taking from the Conservatives. He's very popular in French Canada and English Canada, even in Western Canada. And rain will fall on the political garden party of Mark Carney at some point. But boy, he is on a heater. And I don't think it's a left-right thing. I think it's a north-south thing. I think it has to do with his calmness. I think it has to do with the confidence he gives Canadians when it comes to dealing with the impossible, preposterous presidency of Donald Trump. And I think he's probably wise to not push for a spring election because it is that seriousness as opposed to partisan focus that I think is giving him this kind of appeal. And I think the really astonishing thing, people have their arguments about floor crossers, but he's taking from the NDP, he's taking from the Conservatives. He's very popular in French Canada and English Canada, even in Western Canada. And rain will fall on the political garden party of Mark Carney at some point. But boy, he is on a heater. And I don't think it's a left-right thing. I think it's a north-south thing. I think it has to do with his calmness. I think it has to do with the confidence he gives Canadians when it comes to dealing with the impossible, preposterous presidency of Donald Trump. And I think he's probably wise to not push for a spring election, because it is that seriousness as opposed to partisan focus that I think is giving him this kind of appeal. And I think the really astonishing thing, people have their arguments about floor crossers, but he's taking from the NDP, he's taking from the Conservatives. He's very popular in French Canada and English Canada, even in Western Canada. And rain will fall on the political garden party of Mark Carney at some point.
But I just keeps on spouting off.
Win international trip with meetings today in the UK. He met with British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, the leader speaking about the war in the Middle East. And
like, meeting with Prime Minister Keir Starmer is some kind of bragging point. He is part of the sabotage of whatever they developed through the last 200 years. Keir Starmer is a sellout and a hog. And honestly, I can't believe that he hasn't been, I can't believe he's still in power, that somebody hasn't taken him out. It's hard to believe.
Condemning Iranian attacks on civilians. They also discussed.
Next.
It is my understanding.
Across the country, people are recognizing how important it is that we have a strong new Democratic Party, that we have a party that can get to work right away. You know, this rebuilding needs to start on day one. It needs to be something that we're focused on. And I think people see, you know, you mentioned, I'm the only one that has a seat in the House of Commons. I'm the only one with the experience winning my seat. So that's something I'll be able to get to work doing on the 1st.
That's Heather McPherson. She's the leader of the NDP party, or going to be.
As I travel across the country,
maybe
people.
Evie Lewis is going to be. Anyways, we might be getting into some repeats here.
And the worst part, it doesn't just happen this way. People elected to stand and pass laws in this very place, these liberals, made it that way. Over the past decade, they've weakened penalties for serious crimes. They've let criminals, gangsters, terrorists run free, put law-abiding, innocent Canadians at risk, and re-traumatize victims. These same liberals passed Bill C-75 that introduced the concept of the principle of restraint, which outright directed judges to make it easier for repeat offenders to walk free on bail. Quote.
Whoops. I'm a big Shannon Stubbs fan.
Justice one. And the worst part, it doesn't just happen.
What happened?
Catch and release revolving door criminal system, not a justice one. And the worst part, it doesn't just happen.
Sorry, I screwed everything up, so I'm quitting. Me and Sweet Pea are just throwing in the cap. We're done. Pretty fun show. We're trying some new things, crossing over interfaces, hoping that the sound and the blend and everything look a little smoother than things that we had attempted in the past. Let me know in the comments if that's working. I think it is. Like, I'm hoping that the audio sounds as good as I think it is, as big an improvement as I think it is. The rest will fall in place. A big thank you to Rory, Rhonda, and Kirk. You guys are the best team. Huge fan of my own chat room. I go to my own chat room to feel like included with people that are very well versed in common sense. It's a strange thing. Thank you all so much for watching. We're on our way out. Sweet Pea is looking for some food. She doesn't come up here unless she is looking for food. We're okay. Catch you in the next one.